This is my crew today. Matthias on this side in the green, and then Alfredo. And so today we're gonna do a Zai Pit, and the time it takes, the cost, and the 3 benefits and 1 negative. Je rookknopje.
Ja.
Je gedrukt?
Ja, meneer.
Okay, so first we have to get a level. So this is 2 bricks. We make them level. And then vat hom vir my oor daai kant toe. Nee, net los, hy steen net daarby. Vat hom. Vat daai steen daarso.
Moet ek daar gaan?
Ja, vat daai plat steen.
Die kant
Gooi hom weg. Gooi hom weg.
Incoming call.
Hier hom daar. Hier. Ja.
Meneer. Incoming call.
Gooi hom net weg. Sakke. Nee, hy moet op. Okay, so once we found 3 points that's level with the middle point, we then make a half moon berm. Okay, so vat die as, en dan vat jy daai punt en dan gooi jy soos wat jy gaan. Trek hom eers met jou voet as jy wil. Ja.
Doe hom so met hom so steek.
Ja. Ja. Kan dit? So that will then be the line that we use for our berm to catch the water. Trek hom maar net oor. Trek hom maar net oor. Trek hom maar net oor. There you go. Okay. So this is let me just get behind the camera. Yeah, gooi die as op die lyn. So we add the ash to the line just so we can see clearly where it is. And so the first benefit in this is these guys have never done this before, and after just showing them how to do one, they will know exactly how to do it in the future. After we made the line, we're now gonna dig it for about 30 centimeters out here. So in Namibia, these guys, the wage is about $8 a day. It seems very little until you consider that I personally have about 17 families depending on me, and I get paid, or I take home just a little bit more than what a McDonald's worker would take home in America. So I take home less than $8 an hour, but I have 17 people working for me, each one from a different family, so 17, and each one being the main breadwinner, and so I have 17 families depending on me. Right, so as I said, the very first thing, positive thing about the swale, these mini swales, is that, or the Zai Pits, or the demi loons as they are called in African countries, is that you can in a day quickly teach anybody how to do it. So the second good thing about this is that it's a completely self-containing system. In other words, you can start in the morning and then at night you have done, or an hour or so later, you have done a good job to improve the environment. It doesn't need anything else. It will last for years. You can build one, and it's not like a macro swale. If this was part of a macro swale, our efforts in an hour would not cause much, because a macro swale needs the rest of the swale to be effective. This swale contains itself. It catches its own water. It sinks in right there where it is. It's not completely on contour. The points are on contour, but then the bottom of the loon, the bottom of the half moon, is a bit lower than the rest of the swale, so it's almost like a little dam, and so it catches its own water, where a macro swale is all on contour and you need a lot of it before it helps, before it becomes effective. The other thing that we also need to remember is when we finish now the video, I'll give you the amount of time it took. and I'll give you the exact cost of everything used and the trees and the compost and so on. But the other thing that we have to remember is these guys are fresh now. This is back breaking work. You will not be able to do this the whole day. You will have to make sure that they have a longer lunch, maybe a siesta, which you will have to pay them for, and you will have to make sure that they don't die in the heat, make sure they have water and things like that. So the cost will not include the extra rest that they have. So for instance, let's say this is going to take an hour, maybe an hour and a half. You cannot do this continuously without taking proper rest, and so that those costs you'll have to include as well. And then so the third positive thing about these micro berms or Zai pits is that it's very doable in your own backyard. You can, and these guys are just resting now. They've been working quite hard. So the one is working with the pick on the one side, and then they change places and then they go on with the shovel. Anyway, so you can do it if you look at your permaculture toolbox. This is like a scalpel. You can do it slowly, carefully, in small spaces, where if you use big swales, macro swales, it's almost like a sword. You know, there's no distinction between small bushes and small plants and what. You open the landscape up, and so it's a much bigger, much more invasive tool, and you can't do it in your backyard. This one you can easily do in most backyards. You can put in something like this. Okay, so let me tell you about the negatives of this micro berms, swales, Zai pits. Is if you take it $1 for $4, so this swale is going to cost us $2 just for the swale alone, and then $2 for the vermicompost, and let's say another $2 for the little trees, worst case scenario. So you're working on about $6 for the system. If you take just the $2 for the swale and you add nothing else, just your main purpose is just to infiltrate water, then $1 for the amount of liters of water you infiltrate, you will be more effective if you use a bulldozer. So if somebody came to me and they said, yes, $10,000 I want you to infiltrate water, not add Matthias, jy kan maar daai kompos ingooi, hoor. Not add anything for the human component, not care about how many jobs you create. The only thing you care about is how much water you add into the land. And then a bulldozer will be more effective. And so that's the main bad thing. If you do care about, you know, the amount of lives you affect immediately, then creating jobs and things like that, it might be worth your while to do it with manual labor like this. If you don't care about the lives that you affect, and you just care about the environment, you just care about the amount of water, liters of water, then a bulldozer is much more effective currently. Okay, so I'm just going to spread the compost, then we're going to plant the trees, and then I'll show you again. Okay, so final overview. Julle kan sommer hierdie takke vat hierso, Maremi. Julle kan maar net hierdie takke vat hierso. So final overview of the swale. So that's the lower part berm on that side, and then that's the open side. Jy kan nou ook daarin takke bring. And then that is the catchment area over there. And then these trees over there are Lucina or Lucina. So lucerne tree. There's one there, one there. We'll give them a proper watering. I know it looks like we're drowning them now, but give them a proper watering now. And we cover it with, we cover the whole thing with thorns, so that the animals don't come and eat our newly planted trees. A recap: 2 hours, $2 for the work without the compost and the trees. That swale will be infiltrating about 2,000 liters a year into the soil with our rainfall as it is. So hopefully that's the first one of thousands and thousands. I want to add them all over Otjiwarongo and all over Namibia. Hopefully mine inspires some other Namibians to do the same. Right, that is the end of my story, and thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Please leave a comment, anything, and I hope you have a wonderful day.